I house sat for a family for 1 week. I found something in the attic I wasn't supposed to see. This happened about 3 years ago, and I still think about it more than I'd like to admit. I used to do house sitting on the side for extra cash, mostly for people I found through a neighborhood app. Feed the cat, water the plants, make the house look lived in while the owners were away. Easy money, most of the time. This particular family, the Whitfields, hired me for a full week while they went on some kind of anniversary trip. Nice house, quiet street, one extremely spoiled orange cat named Biscuit. Pretty standard job, honestly. They left me a printed list of instructions taped to the fridge. Feed Biscuit twice a day, water the plants on the back porch every other day, bring the mail in, and at the very bottom, in slightly smaller handwriting than the rest, one line that stood out to me immediately. Please don't go up into the attic. The access panel sometimes sticks, and we don't want anyone getting hurt on the ladder. Fair enough, I remember thinking. Old house, old ladder, totally reasonable request. I didn't think about it again for the first 4 days. On the 5th night, Biscuit started acting strange. Cats do that sometimes, sure, nothing too alarming on its own, except this particular strange was specific. He kept sitting at the bottom of the hallway, staring straight up at the ceiling, at the exact spot where the attic access panel was, meowing in this low, unsettled way I hadn't heard from him all week. I tried moving him, feeding him, distracting him with his favorite toy. He'd wander off for a few minutes and then come right back to that same spot, staring straight up again. Around midnight, I heard it. A slow, deliberate creak directly above the hallway ceiling, the kind of sound old wooden beams make when something's weight shifts across them. Then again, a few seconds later, moving slightly, like footsteps, careful ones, the kind someone takes when they're trying very hard not to be heard. I told myself it was just the house settling. Old houses do that, especially at night when the temperature drops. I went back to the guest room, locked the door out of habit more than actual fear, and told myself firmly that I was simply not going to think about it anymore. The creaking happened again the next night. And the night after that. Always around midnight, always directly above the hallway, always slow and careful in that same specific rhythm. By the 6th night, I'd stopped sleeping properly at all, lying awake listening for it, telling myself every possible normal explanation. Raccoons, settling wood, an old house adjusting to the cold. On the final night before the Whitfields were due back, curiosity finally beat out common sense, the way it always seems to in stories like this one. I grabbed a flashlight, dragged the stepladder from the garage, and pushed open the attic access panel, which, contrary to what the note had said, opened smoothly on the very first try. No sticking at all. The attic itself was mostly what you'd expect. Boxes, old furniture covered in sheets, the usual dusty clutter families accumulate over the years. But near the far corner, tucked behind a stack of storage bins, there was a small area that looked distinctly different from the rest. A folded blanket, clearly used recently, still holding the shape of someone who'd been lying there. An empty water bottle, condensation still faintly visible on the plastic, and a single, half-eaten granola bar wrapper, the kind I recognized instantly because it was the exact same brand I'd seen sitting in the kitchen pantry downstairs all week, a brand the Whitfields had specifically told me was for Biscuit's treats and not for snacking. I didn't wait to think it through logically. I climbed straight back down, closed the panel, called the property's after-hours emergency line the Whitfields had left me, and spent the rest of that night sitting in my car outside, doors locked, waiting for the sun to come up. The Whitfields came home the next afternoon, and when I told them what I'd found, their reaction wasn't quite what I expected. They went pale, thanked me quietly, and mentioned, almost in passing, that they'd had a previous house sitter a few months earlier who'd never fully moved out of the property between jobs, someone who'd apparently kept a spare key copied without their knowledge. They said they'd handle it and that I shouldn't worry about it further. I never found out exactly what happened after that. I never took another house-sitting job from that app again either. And to this day, whenever I stay somewhere unfamiliar, I still find myself glancing up at the ceiling, just for a second, before I let myself fully fall asleep.